I've been wanting to make this video for a while, so I want to give a shout out to Daniel for finally inspiring me to make this video. When I was in middle school, I was learning the quadratic equation. Do you guys remember the quadratic equation? Does this look familiar to you guys at all? X equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Do you guys remember that equation? So for those of you who don't remember quadratic equations, I'll explain to you guys. Y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. Schools usually fail pretty bad when teaching applications. One application I can think of in physics is at lower velocities, lower speeds, when wind resistance does not become a big factor. You can use this equation to calculate trajectories. You know, you're throwing a ball, you're launching a cannon, etc., etc. Quadratic equation can be used in physics. So probably if you took algebra, you derived this formula, and then they had you memorize this. X equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So you might ask, why do I still remember this? And this is what Daniel said today that prompted me to kind of make a whole video on this. So when I learned this in middle school, our middle school teacher, to her credit, encouraged us to write this equation and apply it to a song. So that's why I started this video with that Meow Mix song.
Meow, 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 meow. He likes tuna, liver, chicken. Meow, 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 meow. It's got tuna, liver, chicken.
We had a competition in class to see whose song was the best. Me, Adam, and Max, the three of us. I don't know why, because the Meow Mix commercial was way before our time too, but for some reason, oh, I know why. They reused the song for a new Meow Mix commercial during our childhoods. That's why we were remembering that song again. We took the Meow Mix song and we just applied it. X equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Flows off the tongue, in my opinion. Our song did not get the most votes. People did not like it. And for those of you who followed me on another channel, there's a guy named Costa in my class who I didn't get along with. Costa insulted this song. He's like, oh, your song, he said a bunch of words. I actually got into a fight with him later on in the year. But who's vindicated? Who's vindicated after all these years? Who still remembers? I'm sure Costa, who didn't even come up with the song, does he remember the quadratic equation? I'm sure he doesn't, but this guy remembers it. So Daniel was trying to teach one of his classmates. I don't know if it's a classmate or underclassmate, forgot the guy's name. But Daniel's like, didn't you remember or put a song to this equation that underclassman didn't? Daniel's a kid, right, compared to me. So Daniel doesn't know the Meow Mix song. So I looked up what the current zeitgeist is when it comes to this song. Because what Daniel said to his underclassman was that there's songs on this. You could just look it up. So the first song that came to mind was actually Brilliance. So you guys know Pop Goes the Weasel, right? That's a song that every kid learns when he's young. So Pop Goes the Weasel is not dependent on what is in the cultural zeitgeist. One of these geniuses put this quadratic formula to Pop Goes the Weasel. So X equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a, right? So that's kind of creative and very memorable. Anyways, let me get to the point of this. Why? Because I put something to song. Do I still remember it all these years, right? That's the question. I might have talked about this before, so for those of you, some of it might be review, but we got language centers, the right side of our brain. And what's beautiful about music is it's exactly almost mirrored on the other side, the left side of the brain. So when you're putting something to song and there's lyrics to it, you're working both sides of the brain. It's cross-lateral. So think about it this way. How many poems do you remember? How many speeches do you remember? But how many song lyrics do you remember? I bet you can remember a few songs, right? Why do you remember certain songs? It's because it's lyrics, so words, language, and then the language of music. It's using both sides of your brain. Think about prayer. For those of you who go to church, why do you also sing songs of praise? Think about cultures, ancient societies before writing. How did they tell their history? Through oral tradition in song, right? They told it through song. Why could it get passed down for generations? Certain things will be made easier if you can turn it into song. Now, how do you songify things? I don't completely know. I think our society is not really that type of oral tradition society anymore. So the process of taking things making it memorable into song is probably lost in most of us. So that is the next thing that I should probably investigate. That's where I'm going to turn it over to you guys. If you guys have any advice, tips, proven track record on that, I want to hear what you guys do. How do you songify something? And how do you make something memorable by activating both sides of the brain? Also, if you remember the quadratic equation, how did you remember it? Did you turn it into song like we did? If so, what song did you use? I want to hear from you guys. I look forward to a lively discussion in the comment section.